made it.
Stream of consciousness.
Yes, we made it. I went old school with the background. I used the old Love background.
I love that one, man. That's
it's good.
That's the cool one. That's the one that makes us look like pimp.
Rock stars now, and I got my cool lighting going.
I mean, I'll get into it in a second, but I was getting lovely compliments actually on the wonderful production of our shows that we do for my buddy Sean Nichols this weekend, or not this weekend, this midweek. It feels like a weekend. This weekend, where did we go? I'm asking off camera. What was the location where we shot? The town or city? Ramona.
Well, I'm going to say hello while you're talking. I'm going to say hello to everybody. What's up, Taylor? What's up, Angela? What's up, Ninja Kitty?
But
good to see everybody's
in Ramona, which is near San Diego, and there's this dude who he's like an old West enthusiast, an old time enthusiast, and this guy has rebuilt, like taken from their original locations in like Oklahoma or whatever, and rebuilt this small, little corner mining town.
That's where you were. Okay.
Oh my God, in his backyard. And it's really just kind of like two set pieces. There's this huge garage that has all sorts of big old school equipment, from sawing stuff, and the oldest working rock smasher. It was very, very cool.
The oldest working rock smasher.
Yes, and very cool to see my buddy Sean kicking ass, singing, fucking hard rock stuff, as the rock smasher is going off behind them, and they're playing their backtrack and they're singing over this.
Cool.
Backtrack would turn off and you would just hear go 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 go. There is a rock smasher going.
Like so much fun, man.
It's a loud machine.
Oh my God, that's so cool.
Dad and I showed him because they had an old school Indian motorcycle. He loves old school motorcycles, and what's called I think a Henderson motorcycle too, which is an even older type of motorcycle. And I was pointing the camera at it as I was telling him about it, and he's like, yeah, is that real? I was like, yeah, man. I'm like, it's real.
Cool.
It's
real. The outfits and everything you guys were wearing, I mean, that was all like real cool, authentic stuff.
Sean's wife, she did, like a lot of the artistic heavy lifting. Yeah, thank you. The artistic heavy lifting. It helped a little bit when we actually came in. So we do another show on Mondays. I know a lot of you guys watch called Coolest Alive. And I wanted to play some softball a couple weeks ago, and there was no way I could do all the driving. So I needed to stay in Anaheim. And this is very spiritual, for the spiritual show. But I reached out to my friend Giancarlo, who lived kind of nearby, and I didn't know if he had a studio. Maybe I could like sit in real quick, and do the show or whatever. And he was like, reach out to my buddy Sean Nichols. He's got a great studio over here or whatever. And, at first, Sean's, he's got a nice studio. He rents it out occasionally or whatever. And I was just like, I just need like sort of like a loaner kind of thing. Like, real quick, I can't afford to put any money into it. I said, but like, but I'm a good friend. And, and Sean was like, all right, like it's all good. Totally cool. And me and Sean had met prior to this, and we'd been friendly. We had a lot of mutual friends. And then Sean got to meet Michael, and he was like, oh, he's really vibing with Michael's in. And then me and Aaron went over there. And after I left the first night, I had to rush out of there to go play softball. Aaron stayed for like an hour and a half, and they became really great friends. And then when I was on the way home from the softball game, I called up Sean, and then he and I had this like crazy long conversation. He had done ayahuasca once, and it was very life-changing.
What happened, Jess? Did I lose you?
Oh, am I back?
Yeah, you froze like this for a second.
You froze like that for a second. Well, I don't know what the deal was. But anyway, ketamine therapy, which is something that's helping a lot of people. And he's worked with some of that. So he and I ended up having like a long spiritual conversation about so many different things, and then also just about musicians being a community, and you just want to have fun, doing what we love and all this stuff. And he was working on this music video, and Aaron was very quick to, volunteer. And I was like, yeah, man, absolutely. And, and we were talking about Julie, and little did I know that my girlfriend, Julie, she's always wanted to be in a music video. And so like,
Oh, how fucking cool.
and she had kind of like been a little bit in like something like, and she's done lots of background things here, there, or whatever, but like it really meant something to her to do that. So it was really cool to go with them. And then my friend Aaron brought down his buddy who is really into like the old timey stuff. He collects that stuff and is like a reenactor and an actor. And he came down, was fascinated by the place, and just really like talking the dude's ear off. I'm sure made him feel like $1 million who owned the place, because he really loves this stuff. He was very, very happy to chat about it. But it was what a wonderful, wonderful place to hang out for a day. And I kind of provided like a third of the actors or whatever. So I knew a third of the crew was going to be pretty cool. But just of course Sean and his guys were great.
So what was the band?
It's oh shoot, I don't want to get the name wrong. It's Delete After Death, which is a phrase that comes from, this is kind of interesting. There's an option on Facebook apparently now where when you die,
delete after death.
Yes, and you have to mark your account delete after death. And
that's so funny.
And they took. I think it's very clever.
That's great. That's
the
great.
Music that I've heard and the stuff that they've done. Like Julie and I heard some things, and she was immediately interested because it was good. I was interested too. I just hadn't got a chance or whatever. But she immediately listened to some stuff and was like, he's great. But I know Sean, so I've heard other things of
He's
Sean.
awesome. I like Sean.
Recent things. He's very talented. Sean is this guy who's like, he's really next level, because there's so many singers who are just, they show up and they sing, and they did a thing or what they do a certain thing and that's what they do. Sean has he's played with, he has not, it's not to say that he's played with all these bands and toured with all these bands to replace lead singers,
right.
Replace a singer that people cared about. But he's had to audition, so he's the audition
that spot.
Man. We were
that was one of the things we were talking about.
And he really has some versatility when it comes to his vocals and a powerful, we were talking about just this great, the hook of the song is he really goes deep with this and I could feel it. We were talking afterwards, and I was saying something. It's like, we were just appreciating because it actually is a spiritual thing. When you're vibrating properly and you're getting the resonance from the voice. There's a lot of artists who I'm better than when I sing their stuff because I just can generate a lot more resonance than they generally do, and it's sort of something that adds a lot of depth and vibrato and sort of vibration to your voice. And he's just such a great vocalist. It's kind of a ridiculous thing.
We were talking about having him on the show. He's into numerology and some interesting spiritual things.
We're making our calendar, getting things going. We'll get him onto the list. And we absolutely
It was funny because he was talking when we were talking and getting everything set up. When we connected, he had played with Adler's Appetite. Steven Adler.
He has an amazing. Steve, and again though, because he's such a great vocalist, he really he's somebody that honors the thing that he's doing. So he does a good job doing it.
But he takes it on. He takes it on.
Yeah, he takes it on, and it doesn't make it about himself, but also at the same time, he's a really good vocalist, and he's got a little extra something, and in a lot of cases, he's adding plenty to mixture as far as I'm concerned. But also at the same time, he's so good at just honoring the.
Well, you had an exciting week. Now I should have probably should have went first.
Oh, should you? It's gonna be like low key now in comparison. And by the way, is Shane in the background or whatever?
What's that?
Has Shane showed up in the background?
Shane hasn't. Did you send him the link?
Oh no! You know what? I probably did. That's probably a good idea.
I just sent it
I'll do that while you tell me.
I sent it to his Facebook, but I don't know his email. So he's probably going, "Oh, great! I don't know what the hell to do."
Hold on 1 second.
So while you're sending in the link, I'll just talk about my week. It's funny because I always come on. I try to be like, "Oh, everything is great, yes," and It is. I'm not going to say it isn't. Everything is great.
Something, Michael.
But I had a rough week. I actually did think of you because I had a rough couple of weeks because of the chronic pain you usually had been suffering, and I don't know how that's doing. I don't want you to even think about that, but
I'm doing markedly better. My attitude is really
everything, right? Everything,
and I am just in a state of I am active, and maybe I'm a little sore, but it's because I'm being active. So
right.
I feel like things are turning.
Yeah, good. I've been in a little bit of pain. I noticed.
I hate to hear that.
I noticed it was affecting my mood a little bit. I wasn't able to muster up the woohoo wonderfulness. I wasn't mean to anybody or anything like that, but I wasn't feeling good. I was having headaches very frequently, so I went to the doctor for a physical. I hadn't had one in a couple of years, and it turns out my blood pressure is a little high right now. So he said that could be why you're having the headaches. Let me put you on a little medication for a couple of days. So he gave me 30 days. So I'm on this medication. That never happened to me before. So that was the but to continue with the manifesting of what's been going on, dude, I cannot even tell you. I am so excited about these new projects that I'm getting involved with. And it's funny, I was talking about this with Mackenzie, how the universe works.
Mackenzie for yet another. I just she's my friend.
She's amazing, right? Amazing.
And I was just like showing Julie pictures of like her kids and
right,
and just what a great mom she is or whatever. And like I switched and she started like talking. Within 2 seconds, she mentioned our name again, and I was like, This isn't the other one. I'm like, what are you doing here?
No, but you know what? She appreciates the connection that we have, I think, and the vibe. But anyway, now what was I saying? Now you threw me off.
I threw you completely off course. You
totally threw me off.
And
I want to have her on actually on my show and talk to her because she's awesome to talk to. So anyway. I was, we've been talking about manifesting and intention and all of these things. And I've been really creating this opportunity for myself the way that I want it. Okay. So I have my current employer and my future employer working together to kind of split up my time. And I'm using the resources of both places, but the projects that I'm going to be working on. Okay. So there's this cafe that they want to create an immersive environment using projectors and using video and using audio and creating an immersive experience. And it's a chocolate factory kind of place. And I went and I sat with the guy, and man, my brain started coming up with the craziest ideas for taking these chocolate parties that they do where they just like fill up the molds and they make little chocolate things, to the next level with these immersive environments. And actually, well, I don't even want to talk about it too much. You know what? I will, because I'm excited about it. Creating storylines. So like these kids would come in and they would get led through a storyline. Like they need to be creating something very specific for a reason. Like, let's say they need to be creating a medallion. And then at some point in the lesson, they take it over to a pedestal and they put it there and it lights up and it becomes activated. And this is all like an immersive experience, and it's kind of scripted, but really what they're doing is they're just making chocolates at a party. So it's really something exciting. And that wasn't what I wanted to tell everybody, because I just gave away a lot of cool creative. But what I did want to tell everybody, and what I spoke to Mackenzie about,
though, and I'm so excited to see you excited about
dude, it's amazing. I'm so excited because it's a new industry,
Yeah, and I feel that vibe of being excited about things that are going on, but at the same time dealing with sort of energetic issues.
And I'll talk about that in a minute, because I do feel like there's a spiritual connection to that. But anyway, here's the manifestation part. Let me just get to this real quick.
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to kind of create my own show, which eventually became Where You At, right? So at one point, you remember I was going to do a show where I would talk to people, and it was what was it going to be called? Creating Space with Michael Zinn.
Holding Space or something like that.
Right, Creating Space. So
you changed it. I suggested Holding Space. I'm just that was just
Holding Space, right? Holding Space. I changed it to Creating Space.
Yeah,
and there was a reason, because I sat there after my meeting and I said, "Holy shit!" I said, "I'm actually embarking on this new career as a space designer." Right, because I'm designing a space and everything that happens in it, and I'm like, I'm creating space.
And man, that's pretty funny because we've had so many conversations about
right. I mean,
to be able to put on a concert or put on an event that was a comfortable energy and inviting. I feel like the energy of the majority of the clubs around here these days, it's just uninviting.
Remember, that's right. Remember that project we were going to do, right? Oh wow, yeah, I forgot about that.
Like points sticking out at you, going, "Get out of here!"
Right. So anyway, going back to this, did you get the link to Shane? Yes,
I did.
Okay, so I'll wait for him to pop up. But going back to the pain and suffering that I've been going through, I feel like I described it to a couple of people. I said I feel like I'm being pressed through a garlic press. So it's like my juices are being drained, and I'm being like, I don't know. I just felt that was the way I described it.
That sounds awful.
Yeah, it is pretty awful. But I do feel like it's a spiritual growth. It's like a shedding of skin. It's like I feel like I'm going, like I'll wake up at 3 a.m. and like my teeth will be in intense pain, like my jaws and my gums, and I'll be like, what the hell is going on? And it'll last like a half an hour and it'll go away, and that's it. And I have good dental hygiene, and I don't have any problems going on. It's just weird. I feel like it's a spiritual.
They say that tooth issues are about not speaking your piece or something.
Oh, really?
Yeah, something to that effect.
I don't know, man. I'm speaking a lot more than usual.
Yeah.
So I want to thank Angela.
Maybe you're ruffling the energy of your teeth as you speak the truth.
I don't know. Angela suggested I get some beetroot for my blood pressure. So
Mercury's in retrograde at the moment. Yeah, no, I was kind of like really energetically getting my ass kicked. The day before yesterday, or whatever, when that when it was about to be the eclipse, and then I mean through the eclipse I kind of got like a little like triggered at like a little thing I had to like process, and I was definitely not feeling great, but but I got through that.
Right.
As we do. But it's
I'm telling you,
I tell people, like, if you're sensitive to energy, you really got to look at different like horoscope readers and people online, because they make you feel better when you'll see that like almost anytime you're feeling crazy, you go look at and they're like, whoop, moon is in, like, don't go out tonight.
Yeah. They'll be like, I know what happened, right?
Totally. Yeah, exactly. And I mean, to a certain degree, that's why I want to study it so bad. And why, like, my sister has been studying it. I want to have her on the show as well. I'm so excited. We got my brother Shane, and he's hopefully be on in just a second. And if he's not showing up in the back.
I haven't seen Shane in a couple of years.
But yeah, I'm gonna go.
See if I can dress up my studio a little bit here. Some lighting. Make it interesting for people.
You're making it interesting for Shane.
I'm just going to call him. It'll be like a live audio call-in show. Like, hey, we got on the phone.
Shane, what are you doing, man? I sent you a link.
You did?
Yeah.
Where you at, buddy?
It's on your phone. I'll wait for you. Love you.
Awesome.
Okay, so hopefully he'll be in here shortly.
Very shortly. Awesome. I can't wait to see him.
Yeah, so no, I'm really excited.
So you said Cheyenne. We're gonna have Cheyenne. Why don't we talk about that?
Cheyenne, she's been learning so much about astrology, and the thing about that is just there's a guidance system out there in terms of energy, and if you can locate your energy and find out how it might be affected in the immediate future by, the energies of the moment, the same way they're affecting the tides, and your body, the waters in your body are being moved. And, you can mitigate, running uphill. And take advantage. Oh, nice. Take advantage of opportunity when it comes along. Jump on the energy. Like you're like, oh man, it's a great time to work this week. It's a great time to work this month. Like,
oh, you did this again to me. I gotta wait till it comes back. So in the meantime, since Jesse seems to be frozen for me, I don't know.
Out.
Oh, he's back. He's back.
Anyway,
why is that happening?
I don't know, but the ability to predict the type of energy that you're going to have and how you might be able to respond to, reality, to if you were better prepared to know, basically knowing how many bullets were in the gun before you got to the battle and planned accordingly.
Right.
And that's
an interesting metaphor for astrology.
Yeah. Well, really, like it's just like if it's going to be an uphill battle, you're like, all right, cool, maybe I'll try to give myself some.
No, you're arming yourself with
break.
Yeah.
This is a good time for me to, there's a reason why this stuff has existed as long as it has. It always sounded so just ridiculous to me when I was younger. Sure. But there's truth to it. And truth to it is really doing it an injustice. It's me being skeptical, but I see the inherent truth. And every time I talk to my sister now, and I bring that up, she'll add some new piece of information to my understanding.
Cool. We're getting the whole Snider family on here.
We're going to get them, except for my mother, who's camera shy or whatever.
Speaking of the Snider family,
can we bring on? Oh wait, let me properly introduce them.
Do your introduction. You were so adamant.
Shane Royal Snider is a brilliant, award-winning writer. His short film Fool's Day is being turned into an award-winning short film. Fool's Day is being adapted into a feature-length film.
Amazing award-winning film.
It's amazing, yeah. And that's in the works. It's been, as so many films kind of get delayed a little bit, but I believe this one will all work out in the end. Yeah. And Shane is such a jack of all trades. He has taught himself so many different skills from editing and directing and producing different commercials and viral videos and different things that he's had to do, and also acting in all variety from doing improv type stuff, traditional stand-up comedy, and then also puppeteering. He did this great show, Puppet Shakespeare, a while back, and it got an amazing write-up in I think the New York Times at the time. I'm so proud of my whole family, but Shane is really impressive when it comes to just the amount of things he has amounted that he does over time. And also Shane is a psychonaut, like so many of the members of my family, working with ayahuasca and with psilocybin. But one of the things that Shane has introduced a lot of us to, and we have not had as much success as my brother, but I really wanted to bring him on to talk to us all about it, because I think it's a pathway for a lot of people out there to connect with themselves in really real ways, which is past life regressions. And
I found that real quick. Sorry.
Oh, cool. Yeah, awesome. Here's Shane doing some Puppet Shakespeare. But anyway, through past life regressions and being able to connect to past selves and past lives, I think Shane will tell you he's been able to connect a lot of dots for himself, and he has a very interesting story that's completely unique to mine and completely unique to Cody's. Awesome. And I wanted to bring him on to share it with us. So without further ado, if I could have my brother.
Here he is. I'm bringing him on. Boom.
Hey,
there he is. They don't have any like intro music thing here in StreamYard. I wish they did like a fanfare or something.
Like some applause and stuff.
Yeah.
Talk show. By the way, thank you, Taylor. Thanks for checking out the comedy skits. I haven't done that.
Oh yeah, I haven't.
Oh yeah, Shane is. If you type in my roommate Poseidon, there's a great sketch that my father and my brother Shane did. I actually art directed on the thing that day. I worked on the shoot, gophering and stacking signs on walls and shit. But yeah, man, we Shane has done a lot of funny stuff.
Yeah,
And
I love the.
Got the Adam Eve icon there, which I just finished the Invincible season 1. You and I both read through the four seasons.
Oh, dude, what a great season of! I'll have to have you on Coolest Alive so we.
Yeah,
can
you know what? You should have sent me a bunch of links. I want to like show all this stuff.
We're all loving the Invincible animated series over there. It's so damn good.
Hi, Ninja.
One of my favorites, by the way, is the Poseidon skit. I think that one.
Hey,
that is one of my favorites. I mean, that is just
that's
brilliant stuff. Yeah, brilliant stuff. I haven't seen you in a long time, man. We worked together on some comedy stuff, some video stuff, some production stuff. It's good to see your face, brother.
It's good to see you too, Michael. How you been?
I'm great. I'm really good, man. I've been learning a lot of stuff from your brother and teaching your brother a lot of stuff the way it should be, you know, that symbiosis. And,
yes,
and here we are now talking to you.
Yeah. Okay, so what's been going on here? Like, I know you want to talk about some past life stuff.
I had Cody on, and Cody kind of gave us a little bit of your, initiation into ayahuasca, and I spoke about my just recent experience. So we've gotten to speak a lot about some of that more shamanic journey or whatever, but specifically, you were the one who introduced me to the concept of being able to self-hypnotize yourself, and going into deep meditation and self-hypnosis at home, and pulling forth not just like little things or intuitions, but very major experiences and sort of realizations and even peace sometimes. I remember you telling me about, you remembered yourself just kind of floating on the ocean near an island, and you were some lady and you were just in complete bliss and peace, and it was the most wonderful thing. And I was, wow, I was just so blown away by how much you were able to get from it. Because I did try it twice, and the second time I was able to actually have an experience. I haven't felt necessarily drawn back to it, so I haven't done it since. But I did the second time. I was able to have a really visceral experience of a past life that I think actually involved my now ex-wife Patty. When I was a girl and she was a boy, and it taught me a lot and it helped me a lot. So I was really happy to be brought to that. And it's not something that we've spoken a lot about on the show, even though we've spoken about it in various pieces as we taught the universal laws and hermetic law and whatnot, that reincarnation is, a part of this. But I thought that you could really bring a lot to this conversation with your personal experience, whatever you're willing to share, as far as how you started to explore that in the first place, like what turned you on to the possibility that would work, or that wasn't bullshit, where did you start, and then what was your first experience, and just go. We'd love to listen.
And I won't let you forget about the story with the lady. I'll get you back to that.
Okay. Yeah, that would. Okay, so I'll say this.
Start there, yeah.
About the lady, because the lady, honestly, I think that was like my 4th past life memory session, and it felt like once I kind of opened the door, it kind of like clicked. Like it's like you've found the hallway, and now there's all these different doors you can walk.
Oh wow, yeah.
So my first 2 spiritual books that I really got into, I was an atheist like for a long, long time. And I really thought I thought science and spirituality were 2 different paths. And if you wanted to be a spiritual person, you had to give up some level of intelligence, and that you couldn't be spiritual and smart. Like that, they were like opposites, honestly, in my head.
That's probably common. Yeah,
they say that Socrates was put to death because he, in a play, somebody had a religious figure and Socrates debating science versus religion, and just for the depiction in the play, they called him a heretic, put him to death. So I think it's an old thing. So anyway, I thought you couldn't be spiritual and smart. And then the first 2 books I got were The Field, which is great. And
these books to our audience in the past, and Many Lives, Many Masters.
Exactly. Brian Weiss's Many Lives, Many Masters, which was like life-changing for me. Yeah, boys. Thank you, Steve Sage. Hey, I miss you, buddy.
Hey, what up, Sage?
Nice to see you too.
Yeah, I know. Hey, Tim, how's it going, man?
But Many Lives, Many Masters, and that was like I cried reading that book. Like, it's both beautiful and horrible. And then Many Lives, Many Masters, weirdly, is kind of giving you a description of Buddhism. And Buddhism is telling you that we're all stuck in life-death cycles.
Yeah.
And Buddhism's an instruction manual on how to get out of it.
Which is funny. Can I tell you something? There's a little tiniest interjection, but
you can say no, by the way, to him.
Should I say no? Should I say?
You don't have to. I'm just saying you can.
But I
will allow it this time.
In the same boat as you as an atheist, I had also always allowed for the possibility that energy was recycling and there was some sort of system. But it seemed more likely to me that it was oblivion, and that was largely where I was at. But it seemed like maybe presented with enough proof, I might be able to believe that there was something to like a reuse of energy. But like, I wasn't thinking in terms of like, I don't know, maybe some amount of personality.
It's interesting to me that you were both atheists. What was the household like? The Snider household, was it?
It was kind of agnostic. Like, my mom went to Catholic school, but she got beat up by the nuns and then like never went back. You know, it was
bad
not
experience,
really. Yeah. And my dad was raised Christian, but so we had Christian-esque beliefs, but
you didn't like have to go through confirmation and all of those things. Right.
Kind of grew up with that.
Curious. Yeah. Okay. Just curious.
But it was when for me, it was what we had my uncle's ghost haunt our house. And when I
didn't
saw that ghost,
see into it at the time at all. Like, they thought it was me that being the ghost a couple times, but I never had because I was completely close to that shit.
Wow.
I thought I saw somebody walk by and I thought it was Jesse, and it wasn't. Jesse wasn't home. Wow. And it was my whole family was with me. There was nobody else there. We all saw it. And it was like, after that, it started being like, well, ghosts are real, then what?
Something else, right?
Yeah. What? How? Like, how is a ghost real? Like, if there's no God, there's no afterlife, then like, what's a ghost? And how does that work? Mm-hmm. Taylor, you jealous of my setup? I mean, I got shelves. I mean, it's pretty sweet.
I got colored lights. I got a microphone.
I got a drum set over there. You know, like that little couch. Taylor, you can lay right there.
You know what I'm jealous of? Your fucking haircut, man. That's sweet. Look at you.
It's meant for a hat.
I haven't seen you in a while. I was like, is his hair short? Is it long? You look good, man.
Thank you.
Oh, Shane, I like it more now that you did the.
Yeah, it's built for a hat. I'm not wearing my hair. But anyway, so we had the ghost thing, and I started being like, how could this be? And then I started believing. I read Brian Weiss's book. It changed my life. And then one day, me and my roommate, who I gave her the book after I had read it, we were like, we should try this. And we looked online, and YouTube, actually, Brian Weiss has a guided meditation where he brings you through and brings you into a past life and does the full thing. Mm-hmm. And I guess I should preface this with, I've only ever had one recurring nightmare in my entirety of my life.
Okay.
And the nightmare is that I'm walking through the woods and I hear a baby crying, and I would find this baby carriage turned over in the mud. And I pick up this baby, and it's crying hysterically. And I pick it up, and I'm walking around, and I'm going, whose baby is this? Whose baby is this? Does anybody know whose baby this is? Like, my cat. Oh my God. Violent. Taylor.
She loves you.
They go, whose baby is this? And I'm walking through the woods, and nobody is claiming this baby, and I can't find anyone. And the baby's crying louder and louder and louder. And I'm going, won't somebody take care of this baby? Won't somebody help this baby? Please, somebody save this baby. And eventually I start crying, and then I wake up, and I wake up in tears, and I don't know. And I looked it up, and it was like, you have abandonment issues. And I was like, abandonment issues? Like, I was 18. Like, where did I have abandonment issues from? Right. And I talked to my parents, and they like, oh, maybe it was this one time when you were a kid, or what was this one time is this? And it all kind of felt like, I don't know, like it doesn't feel like that. Like it doesn't feel like it's from that. So I do this past life regression, and the whole beginning part, he walks you through memories of your childhood, and he's kind of bringing you back further into your life until you're like in the womb, and he's trying to like actually have you remember being in your mother's stomach. So, and I was in it. I was into that point. I remembered our Dix Hills house like really, really vividly, in Dix Hills, Long Island, and I was going around, and yeah, Dix Hills. I go back, and all of a sudden I'm against like a tree, and he's going like, what's on your shoes? Like, what kind of shoes are you wearing? Like, what clothes are you wearing? And I'm like looking, and it's like all my vision's like blurry, like my head is ringing, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm like looking at myself, and I'm like, what happened? And I'm in the middle of the woods, and there's snow on bits of the ground, but like the trees are like covered, like it's not all snow, it's bits of snow.
Right.
And I'm like, what happened? And I was like, oh, I was playing with Cody. I was playing with our brother. And I was like, and we were playing, and I fell, right? I must have fallen. And then I'm like, where'd Cody go? And I'm like looking around, and I don't see my brother. And I'm like, and I'm putting it all together. And I'm like, right. And I'm like, oh, right, he fell. And I'm like, I must have hit my head or something. And I put my hand on my head, and it hurts. And I pull out my hand, and my hand is covered in blood.
Wow.
I just soaked. And I'm like, oh no. Oh, I'm hurt. And I'm like, and it's all coming back to me. I'm like, oh my God, I fell. We walked somewhere, and I was with Cody, and I must have fallen. And oh no. And he left me. He left me here to die. He abandoned me. And I start freaking out. I think I was like 7 years old. Okay. And I think Cody back then was 4 or 5, was like the impression I'm getting. So I start being like, oh my God, like I'm fucked. Can I curse?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. I'm like, I'm fucked. I'm hurt. I don't know where I am. I gotta move. I need to get help right now. Right, so I go to stand up, and my ankle's broken. And I've always had problems with my left ankle. And it clicks all the time. And I start being like, oh shit, like I don't know what to do.
Remember the specific incident then?
Yeah, and I started screaming, crying, going, hello, like anybody there? Can anybody help me? And I'm screaming and I'm crying, and I'm like, I gotta do it. I gotta get up. I gotta find my family. Like I'm gonna die if I don't move. So I get up, and I start trying to walk, and my ankle's broken, and I'm a kid, and I am crying, and I'm screaming, and I'm bleeding, and I'm crawling in the snow. Wow. And I'm trying to get someone to save me, to help me, to do something. And I'm crawling, and I see like a light at the end of the trees, and I find this cliff, and I like kind of like crawl out, and I see this beautiful view, and there's a mountain, and there's a lake, and I'm like, oh, it's gorgeous, like what a beautiful view. And then I realize I've never seen this view before, which means I'm lost. And if I'm lost, then there's no way I'm getting home, because I already have spent all my energy getting here, and now I don't know where to go. And I'm just like, I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die right here and right now. And like, I'm realizing it, and these wolves show up around me, and I'm like, oh shit, like I was screaming, and I'm bleeding, and I've left a trail right to me. And it all starts to click, like, this is it. And something just goes, get out right now. I'm like hand on my back, and it's like, get out. And like, there's like a brief moment, I see little baby me, like getting ripped apart by these wolves. And there's like this hand on my back going like, get out. Don't be there, get out. So I start like floating out above my body, and I see my little baby self, like kind of like getting torn apart on this cliffside. And I'm just like, oh my God, like, I can't believe how
that is horrible, by the way.
Oh, it's awful. It's awful. It's traumatic.
It's so vivid, the memory. It's crazy.
Connections to a lot of these things. So I'm going to do my best not to cry too much.
Yeah. No, it's all good, Jess.
Just like, so the next thing, and this kind of like applies to my family dynamic, which was the weird thing, was I start floating away and the hand goes, stop. And it was like, you need to watch what happens next. And I was like, okay. And they were like, you left because you didn't want to be here, but they're like, you need to know. And so I watch, and like time goes by, like hours go by or whatever. It's just kind of like real fast. And then I see little Cody come out. He must have been like 4. And then my mom and dad come out. And it was like, he went to go get help. And they're like, but you didn't have any faith in him. You thought he abandoned you, and he was out there getting help and coming back. If you would have stayed, you would have lived, but you left because you didn't have faith in your brother, and you thought he abandoned you. And they were like, you need to know they're coming back for you. You need to know they're not gone. You weren't abandoned. Help was on its way.
So did this represent an actual experience that you were remembering, or is this a past life?
So I believe this was a past life.
Okay.
And so when I came out of it, I was like, well, that explains my dreams. Like, that explains the woods and the abandoned child and the screaming that I felt. And so I called up my brother Cody, and I was like, hey, can I tell you something? And he's like, yeah, dude, I'm on the treadmill at the gym. What's going on? And I was like, I just did my first past life regression, and you were in it, and I wanted to just like tell you about it. And he's like, sure, shoot. So I tell him the whole story, and he's like, at the end of it, I'm like, so that's. I was like, I don't know if it's real, but I've been crying a lot, and it feels very real. And he's just like, I am crying so much
on
the treadmill right now that people have moved away from me. I have not dripping out of my nose, just straight onto the workout equipment.
Wow.
And he's like, I need to call you back.
So keep going. This is cool. I like the way the light catches it.
So the light makes it cool. Okay. Yeah. So I'm like, so he called me back. Mm-hmm. Like maybe 5-10 minutes later, whatever. And he tells me that he has a reoccurring nightmare. That is, someone is strangling me to death. And he runs over to try to stop them. And his fists don't do anything. And that his reoccurring nightmare is that he's not strong enough to save me. And I guess I should go back a second, because there was one last image in my past life regression that they showed me, which was that Cody picked me up and carried me through the woods. It was why I wasn't where I had fallen. I was somewhere else entirely. But he was like 4 or 5, and he couldn't carry me anymore. So he put me down against this tree and then went to go back to the tribe and get help. And it was like, he wasn't strong enough to carry me home, and his fear is that he wasn't strong.
And that's what stuck with him.
Yeah. And the last image I had was him as an adult with like he had like a mohawk or something, and he's got a spear on his lap, and there's this big party going on, and he's just sitting there staring at the fire. And they were like, he never got over the guilt. He always felt like he had killed you, and that he, like, if he was stronger, he would have saved.
So it's so crazy, the symbolism and the way that past life regression works like that, because I've seen so many people with stories like that, and oh my God, it's just crazy. I don't mean to interrupt your train of thought, because it's amazing. What's up, Frankie D? Thanks for watching.
Oh my God. Yeah, Taylor McKinnon. I was seeing myself bloodied on the kitchen, my mom crying in my dad's arm.
Oh yeah.
And just chilled me to the bone.
Yeah, that's a
Did you just have
horrible
a vision, Taylor?
just now, or have you seen that before?
Yeah, I'm very curious. Oh, I actually had a nightmare I lived in fear of before my mother died. Oh, shit. Yeah. So, sorry. I'm sorry, Michael. If you were saying something there.
No, it's cool, and I like what Angela says here. All three of you have had many lives together. That's really interesting, because I got to say honestly, dude, and Jesse, we've discussed this. I do feel a weird connection to your family. You know, when I ended up working with Cody, and then you, and then Jesse, and your dad, all separate, and just being able to receive the energy from each one of you guys separately, and then kind of get to know the story, you know, the dynamic, the you know, it's just awesome. I love it. So it's interesting. Angela says all three of you have had many lives together.
I believe so. I think everyone you interact with in some way or form, it's like it comes back, and I mean, that's what the Buddha says. You're just going through the life-death cycle, and karma is kind of an infinite cycle. Like, unless you share it.
Sure. Wait a second. And Cody saw himself with a mohawk.
Yeah.
And recently, it came to you came back with the name of the tribe that we came from, and when I looked it up, it wasn't the war haircut. It was just our legit haircut that the boys always wore. And you had mentioned somewhere in there that you had seen me as a sister or an aunt or something like that. In my past life regression, I was this little Native American woman. I was later in my life, and I had a big kind of Scandinavian husband who was like a giant compared to me. And the whole thing in my thing was me wanting to bring him up the mountain to my magic place so I could heal him, and him not believing in those things, and feeling he was too big, too sick, and he wouldn't let me take him. And I dragged him up there, and he died, and I was like beating on his chest trying to revive him. But one of the other things that I've always had a big innate calling to is the mohawk. And I had basically had a vision in a meditation that it was because I was a girl, and it wasn't the girl's haircut. It was the boy's haircut. But I liked the boys who had those haircuts. And when I saw in this life as a boy that the mohawk, I was like, oh, I like that. You know, I was immediately drawn to, because it was something it was a little unusual that I just immediately gravitated towards. And you know, it's why sometimes you meet someone for the first time and feel like you've known them forever. It's a powerful connection. Yes, it is indeed.
I agree, Ken.
And you know what? Thank you, Mackenzie, because that's what the show is about, really, to kind of just put out that energy that everybody is connected. And seriously, the people that we've attracted to watching the show, they all feel that, and they all have somehow expressed that to me. And it is really amazing, because I do feel connected to the people who are being drawn to these conversations. So anyway.
Where did this go for you? I mean, this is a pretty, I mean, obviously, I'm sure it was a very healing thing, but at the same time, that's a traumatic thing to be shown. Were you hesitant to go back, or were you like, this is the way?
You know, it's weird, because like it's very emotional. Like, I remember telling people that story for like maybe the next week, and every time I brought it up, I was like hysterical crying. Like, still now, I still want to like cry about it. Like, right. All the emotions really come back. But there was something that was like, it was explained to me, and like the lesson that I was supposed to learn was so clear, and it was like a message I really needed to know.
Mm-hmm.
I think one of the way it reflected in my life at the time was, we talked about Fool's Day before, and what had happened at that period in my life is we had done Fool's Day, and it had this big success. It won a bunch of awards, and then Cody went out to California, and he was having all these meetings with studios and stuff, and I was feeling really left out. Mm. And it was like, you got to have faith in him. He's going to get help. It was like, you just trust.
Wow.
It was like, I know it feels bad. Like, you feel like he's abandoned you. You feel like he's left without you. They're like, this is a past life trauma. And they're like, and the way you fix it is just by believing in him. I was like, that was it. It was like, just trust him.
Wow.
Like, okay. So like, it really had a strong application. So my next past life actually had another kind of crazy like real world application.
Okay.
So I'm engaged. Hey, fiance.
Congratulations. Hey, nice.
And me and my fiance, I've had many past life memories with, and like she's one of those people. It's like Mackenzie was saying, when you meet someone and you feel like you've known them forever. Like the first time I met her, we were doing a job interview, and I just like we just started chatting, and it was like we couldn't stop chatting. Like we really just hit it off and couldn't stop.
Feels so good. Feels good.
Yeah, and so we did a past life regression together, and so I guess I need some context here.
At the same time?
Oh yeah, we did it together. So one
like we're meditating next to each other or something like that?
Yeah, we're next to each other.
Oh my God, that's so weird. Okay, keep going, because I was going to tell you something about multiple people being regressed at the same time, but you apparently have already experienced that. So keep going with your story. Okay,
so for context, she's a Irish immigrant, and she was married to this guy who was an old boyfriend of hers, and they were married so she can be in the country. But their relationship had sort of disintegrated. But what I had basically found out slowly was that she was trying to stay married so she could stay in the country, but not be with him romantically anymore. So she was with me, but I was kind of discovering that he was still in love with her. And he was trying to not have them be in an open relationship. And he could not know about me. I couldn't go to her place. And as far as he was concerned, they were still like in a relationship. And she was kind of stuck in this awkward spot where she's like, she didn't really expect to like fall in love with me. She thought we were just going to be hooking up and working together. And then next thing you know, we're like falling in love. And we're doing this past life regression, and we'd only been knowing each other 2 months. Like it was very early in our relationship. And we had this feeling, we might be together for a long time. So we do this past life regression, and I see myself as what I'm kind of interpreting intelligently now as a Viking. I don't know if it was a Viking, but it was fur and it was weapons. And I remember seeing the very stereotypical like dragon at the front of my big ship.
Okay.
And me and Abby were married.
Sounds like Viking to me.
Yeah, right? It was nothing when I was there that people were like, isn't it great being a Viking? Like, it wasn't like that. It was
fur and weapons and a big dragon mast.
Yes, exactly.
I don't know what else it could be. I don't know.
We lived in a coastal town. I had like 6 or 7 kids with Abby, and my dad was the priest that married us. Which I know he does in this life, which is weird. Right. And but then the memory I have is I get on this boat and we're gonna go pillage a village, like raid this village. And there's no water. So we're all just drinking ale and we are fucking wasted. We are so goddamn drunk. And we are pulling up to this town and I am hammered. And I don't really know what happens next. I think what happened is I jumped off the boat when the water was so deep. I think I drowned. But I got that really
like in a drunken warrior accident.
Yeah, like it was like really stupid. But I jumped off this boat, and then the next memory I have is I plunge into the water, and I'm in like full armor and like fur, and I'm like wasted, and I'm just like, and that's the last memory I have. Wow. And I'm like, oh, maybe I went into town and got killed by someone, or I don't know. Maybe I was fucking raiding and pillaging, and I was just blackout. I don't know. But it was like boom, and it was like, that didn't go well. And then next thing I know, my spirit is like over watching Abby, my wife, with my kids, and the boat comes into town, and all of the other barbarians or other Vikings like get off the ship, and she's like, "Where's my husband?" And I'm not there. So she's like, fuck, I've lost my husband, and he was supposed to bring home food, and who's going to help me take care of the kids and stuff. Mm-hmm. And I've never met her husband, ex-husband from this life. They're divorced now.
Right.
But I saw him, and he was like a friend of mine on this boat. And he goes to her and he offers to marry her and take care of my children now that I'm gone.
Wow.
And he marries my wife and he takes care of my kids. But there's this weird thing, and I'm like watching it from a thing, which is like she never loves him like she loved me. Mm-hmm. And my kids never love him like he loves me. And he's like a mean drunk, and he's an asshole, and he's got demons. And the whole time my family is like, I wish Shane was still here. Right. And it was like, it kind of like, so I came out of it. It was like the shit you're dealing with now is like karma from this life. They're like, these old ghosts are coming back. That feeling of being with her, but she's not in love with him. She's in love with you. That karma is coming back. And they were like, and also like he had feelings with her and he like dedicated his life to her. Like her karma with him came back, and like, but no, it was like for you, he brought her to this country so you could meet her. And it was like, wow. And he doesn't realize it was like for you, but his karma's coming back. And they were like, and he's not your enemy. He was like an old brother of yours. And
that's crazy, man. That's a freaking crazy story, dude.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So less sad than the baby one. Maybe because I kind of deserved it. It seems like I was an asshole. But it was like it kind of gave me this lesson. Like it like was weird and sad and about death, but it's sort of like, oh, Steve Sage said he had a vision. I'm curious, Steve.
Oh, yeah, look at that.
I'm engaged as well, and I feel the same way about my fiance Sonia. Jesse helped me with the proposal.
Oh yeah, that's Tim, right? Oh yeah, I should bring these up. Angela says you died of hypothermia.
Oh, that could have been it. It's just like the fucking cold. It was Nordic. Mm-hmm. Wow, you give me a vision. I see that some of us need to fix our current paths. Yeah, I think we all do. So that one gave me like, so that one, and then I felt like, I think I did the meditations, like, or I should say the hypnosis.
What's the name of the guy? I want to put up his URL.
The guy who wrote Many Lives, Many Masters, correct?
Brian Weiss.
Say it again.
Brian Weiss.
BRYISS.
And since we're referencing it so much, Many Lives, Many Masters is essentially a book written by a regressionist who regressed tons of children, largely, right? It was like the bulk of so much of it was a lot of kids.
Well, that's somebody else's studying. There's a bunch of there's like a whole collection.
It's so long since I've read that book in particular. So if you're going to remind people, but it's a really worthwhile book to read.
Amazing, life-changing. And Taylor McKinnon, by the way, I love that story. They said they have a vision of themselves as a World War II nurse, and they distinctly remember being shot in the thigh, and I feel like that's where their birthmark came from. That is actually something Native Americans believe, and they could tell who somebody was in a past life based off of the birthmarks that were on them.
Wow, yeah, that's an interesting theory. I've heard that before too. So I wanted to bring this up. Tell me what you think about this. This is what I thought you were talking about.
Yeah.
But our friend Steve Interrante is a past life regressionist.
Oh, cool.
And he's been doing some experiments where he's taking some of his pretty highly spiritual friends and regressing them, but he's regressing two of them at the same time and actually having them recognize each other in whatever realm it is that they're going to, and they're separate and they're describing things, and
wow.
It's really, really interesting stuff. We're gonna have him on the show to talk about what he's doing.
That's very cool.
But yeah, it's real. I heard some of the tapes. Yeah, I heard some of the tapes, and I'm just like, wow, it's really crazy. I've tried some past life regression. I haven't been able to break through, but
you have tried. You like Michael?
Yeah, the whole thing with the hallway and the doors and all that, I understand, and I understand where it's at, and it's so cool to hear your story, Shane. Awesome.
Yeah. My mom similarly, like, it was like she got presented the door when she was under hypnosis and she slammed it shut. Like she opened it a crack. She saw herself being like tortured in a dungeon basically for years and years until she died. And it was like, ever since then, it was just like, I don't want to know any of this. Like,
wow.
She's had some.
I can understand that. I can understand that. I'm not like super curious. I'm not like, oh, I really got to make this work, you know?
I believe that's why I have very little interest in it.
The traumas, I think, shine through the most. You know, like something even Angela and some of the people, or sorry, Taylor and some of these other people are talking about is like the scars come through very clearly. Like it's not often that you'll see somebody go through a past life regression and they remember daily minutia of their lives. It tends to be these really traumatic experiences. That being said, I do think I've gotten through to the point where like I remember I have a couple of past lives that I actually have like what I would say is almost a complete memory of their life. Like I can't, tell you this day, this time, but I can have vague memories of like their breakfast, where they went to as a kid, their schools, stuff like that.
Interesting.
And I can remember it. And that's all right. Okay. Yeah. Do you want to hear? Do you want to hear my big past life memory? I guess this is
Yeah. You know what?
I was going to ask you for the so where has this brought you? Because these were very much launching points for you and in your relationship and whatever. So I mean, but it sounds like to some degree, I'm sure this thing is where it brought you. So that sounds like the right thing.
Yeah, I think that. So this guy, I'd say, is my one. I have a thing up on my wall of his. We'll get there. But like, I think this brought me there, and it comes back around to my fiance Abby, and the weird connection we have. So I was exploring these past life things, and not coincidentally with her. And at some point, we were barely dating a month, and she had given me a list of books that she really wanted to read. And one of them was Anna Karenina, which I never had heard of before. And she was saying this book and this book and this book and Anna Karenina. And I was like, what? And she goes, Anna Karenina. And I was like, what word are you saying? Like, and so I was like, write it down. So I took out a piece of paper and she wrote Anna Karenina. And I was like, Anna Karenina, what is that? And so she explains it to me, and I was like, okay, like whatever. So her birthday is coming up a couple weeks later, and I have this book written down on a piece of paper on my desk. So I was like, oh, I'll get her Anna Karenina, because I know she wants to read it. So I go to the bookshop, I get her the book. Her birthday comes, she comes to me, and I hand it her, it's wrapped. And when she opens it, she like pushes it away and gets like very like weirded out by it. And I was like, what's wrong? You want to read this book, right? And she's like, I tried to buy this book the other day and it was sold out. And I was like, yeah, okay. All right. Like, do you not like it? Do you not want it? And she's like, no, I want it. So I'm like, okay, fine. Again, we're only dating a few weeks here. Couple weeks later, we get into a fight because I don't like that her husband is like calling her when we're hanging out and checking in on her and making sure she's not with another guy. And I have to like be quiet while she's on the phone with him. Right. And I feel like I'm a mistress or something. And I'm like, what the fuck is this? Like, why do I?
It didn't sit right. Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't sit right. So I am like, this is not right. Like, why can't you leave him? Like, move out. And she's like, please, like, it's very complicated. Like, I'm trying to get my green card. Like, and we're getting into this fight. And we're kind of on the cusp of breaking up. And we're only dating a month. And at the end of it, she's like, all right, listen. She's like, when I was a little girl, I decided that the day I got Anna Karenina, I was going to meet the man I was going to marry. And you gave this book to me, and I tried to get it. And she was like, you know why I tried to get it?
Wow.
I'd already decided you were going to be the guy I was going to marry. And I knew I wasn't going to meet anyone else but you. And I went to get the book and it was sold out. And then you handed it to me 2 days later.
Wow.
And she's like, and I don't know why, but I think you're the one. And if I have to wait until I get my green card, if I have to go and deal with this and come back, she's like, but I'm not going anywhere and I'm coming back. Like, she's like, but just please don't do this to me. Right. So I was like,
wow.
God.
Powerful stuff.
I was like, go, get out of my house. I don't want to deal with this right now. So she leaves, and I'm kind of like thrown through the loop. Like, it's a very weird thing. It's like what you guys are talking about when you know somebody from a past life, and you're like, why is this connection so strong? It doesn't make any sense. Like, why does it hurt so much? It shouldn't hurt this much.
But that's pretty specific. You know what I mean? That book and that whole that's very specific.
So then I ask her for book recommendations, and she hands me 3 books. I forget what the first one was, but the first one I think is about a couple and they're breaking up and one of the guys is losing his mind. And then the second one, this guy, it doesn't matter, but it's the third one's the one that matters. The third one is Letters to a Young Poet by Rainer Rilke. And I never heard of this guy before. Okay. And I'm reading the book while I poop. It's the first time I picked it up. And
important detail.
It's important detail because it is not a spiritual moment. I guess it sort of is. And I'm reading the translation notes.
But is it a spiritual moment?
It can be. You know what?
Apparently it is, right?
Your ancestors pooped. It's a very spiritual moment. You can have Zen poops where you connect
Zen
to the ancestors.
I love it.
The art of pooping. I want to make that.
Nice. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
Do I have a spirit in my house? I have lots of spirits in my house, but we'll get to that later. So I'm reading the translator's notes, and I get to a quote from Rainer Rilke, and all of my hair on my body stands up on end, and it's like all of a sudden I'm tripping. Like, I was just like, whoa, like what just happened there? That's wild. And I was like, okay. And I just read a little bit more, and I get to another quote of Rainer Rilke, and they're short, and I read his line, and I'm like, whoa, and all my hair stands up on end, and I start like tripping, and I'm like, what is this all about? Who is this guy? And I'm just like, I love him. Like, he's so smart. He thinks just like me. He's so great. Like, what's so
my hair stand up on end?
Yeah, like he did something to me. So I'm like, I finish up my poop, and I'm like, I gotta go find out about this guy. And I run into the bedroom, and I look up his Wikipedia, and I take one look at him, and I'm like, that's me. That is me.
Holy shit.
I am like,
what's his name?
Rainer Maria Rilke. And I am like, holy shit. So I'm reading his Wikipedia page, and it says he's married to a woman named Claire Rilke. And I'm like, Claire Rilke? And then I get to, and they had a passionate love affair with a woman named Lou Andrea Salome. And I click it, and I'm like, that's Abby. And I see her, and I'm just like, instantly, like, that's her.
Wow.
So I go, okay, I can't tell Abby that I think this is her. I can't tell her that I think this is me. But I want to know if she feels the same way. So what I do is I send her a text, and I say, can you do something weird for me? And she goes, sure. And I said, I just want you to go read Rainer Rilke's Wikipedia page and tell me if you, if anything jumps out at you as weird.
Right.
So,
yeah, she would sense it energetically.
Yeah. So the thing worth mentioning here is Rainer Rilke and Lou Andrea Salome met, and she was reading Anna Karenina. And he says he really wants to read this book, but it's not translated in his language, which is Austrian. It's only in Russian. So she says, I'll teach you to read Russian. And she teaches him to speak Russian by reading Anna Karenina to him.
That's fucking crazy, dude.
And through it, they fall in love and travel to Russia together, where they meet Leo Tolstoy, who wrote the book. And they have this like love affair as they travel to Russia, and she's married the whole fucking time.
Wow. So crazy.
So it was like all of a sudden, like these pieces fit, and I'm looking at her husband, Carlos Andreas, and I'm like, that's fucking her husband in this life, and this is her in this life, and this is.
So do you feel like you're like culminating this story, or is it just working through it? Are you just a part of it and it's going to continue after? I mean,
so that's the thing where this all starts to come to a head, where you're going, can I use the memories of my past lives to fix what went wrong in these past lives? Because Rainer and Lou do not end up together. Carlos, the husband, gets in the way, and they do not get married. They do not have children. They do not end up happily ever after. They have this love affair, and it's too much for Rainer, and he cracks, and they leave, and they split up, and they are not together.
You're right. You're making a movie about this, right?
Oh, yeah. And I'm naming it after the biography she wrote about him. But
crazy, dude.
There's an extra layer to this,
no.
which is that the story of Anna Karenina is the story of a married woman who falls in love with a poor poet. And
Holy
that
shit.
is who Rainer was.
Dude, this is like gold right here. This is amazing.
The cycles are insanity.
Ridiculous.
So I'm reading this Wikipedia page, and it's a story about a couple that fall in love reading a story that is about them. And it's like, it's so wild. So I send her this text, and I'm like, can you just look at this Wikipedia page and tell me if anything here stands out? And she starts sending me texts a little bit later like, oh, this Lou Andreas Salome woman is so fascinating. Oh my God, she grew up in the same hometown I used to go to as a kid. Oh my God, she lived in the same town I did when I was a teenager. Oh my God, she got like married like to this guy at the same age I got married. And then she goes, I think I'm her. And I'm like, yeah, and I think I'm Rainer. So we start going down this like rabbit hole where we're picking up all this information, and we're putting together all these pieces, and we're finding all these weird similarities, and we're finding all these like weird numbers that correlate, towns they went to, places we've been, languages they spoke, things they like to do. And it's all like they were both vegetarian, and we're both vegetarian.
I wonder if you can like tell the future somehow, by looking at the past.
I think you can, because it's all cyclical.
This is amazing, dude. Jesse, did you know this story? This is phenomenal.
I knew many pieces of these things, but I have not had the richness of so many of these tellings, because so often
much for sharing.
They've been shared a little bit, and there's an assumption that maybe people had heard whatever, but it was lovely actually to hear all this stuff. So wrap it up, Shane, and we'll wrap up another fascinating episode of what is it? The Livestream of Consciousness.
I've got the perfect way to wrap this up. I'm hoping I can turn my camera here in the proper way, but I've got, so we do a bunch of past life regressions. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah. Totally.
We do a bunch of past life regressions, and I see myself as this guy. I see my family members as people in this guy's life. I saw Jesse as my dad. I saw my dad as my uncle. I saw Cody as my boss.
Wow.
I saw my sister as my daughter.
There's definitely that element of the souls that are around you, through the lives. Yeah.
And
I was your dad in the life when you were the poet?
Yes. And
interesting. And Cheyenne was your daughter.
And my older sister, who died very young. She came back twice. And we go down this rabbit hole. I read all of his books. I have his journals. I have everything. One day, and she and I are both kind of convinced in this, but we're both also kind of swept up in the romance of this. And one day, if you guys have been to New York City, there are these like boxes with newspapers inside of them that are free. And one day we're on the streets of New York City. She's still trying to leave her husband. And she says something like, if we really are Rainer and Lou, then, and before she can even finish the sentence, I've grabbed a newspaper from this container for, I don't know why. I just felt some calling to grab this newspaper, and I've opened it up. And the first page I turned to is this. All the soarings of my mind begin in my blood. Rainer Maria Rilke.
Wow.
I quote directly from him. Wow. So she literally says, if we really are Rainer and Lou, and I go, what? And just a quote from him.
Holy shit, dude.
A double page spread quote.
I've never even heard of this guy, let alone seen a double page spread in the middle of a newspaper.
It's crazy, dude.
And it's such an, we were right there. We were right at the location of this painting. We were blocks from this.
That's so fucking cool, dude.
It was so fucking wild.
What an amazing story. This, dude, Jesse, this show is becoming awesome. We're like getting the cool guests and like the cool stories. It's amazing.
Well, yeah, we're very excited to be launching a beautiful calendar of guests the next coming months. And Shane, I'd love to have you back in the future. I know you have a lot more experiences and interesting things. I'd really love to hear your experiences, remembering what little or talking about what little I have heard of me, you, and Cody mating with Aboriginal women in Australia and becoming plant shaman in the Amazon. Yeah, so like I would love to bring it back in maybe a few months. Or
that's the sitcom that we're working on.
Well, and have you talk about some more of your experience, because I really do think they're so powerful, and there's it's such an easy thing too. It didn't necessarily click with me as good as you. I still got a great experience out of it, and I just really haven't felt the need to go back. But for anybody who might be able to connect and get onto that path the way you're talking about, to enter into a space where they can see the past that they made pieces
what makes relevance, to who they are.
Yeah, exactly, and better prepare for a better future this time. And I'm so glad that you were able to get that guidance, and I'm so grateful for you coming on the show and talking about it, sharing it with our fabulous.
Angela says he's going to speak another language in his sleep.
I'm never shocked by anything anymore.
Well, we've got over our usual time, but it was worth it to just a little bit. But Shane, thank you so much for coming, and Michael, we'll be launching our calendar, I guess, next.
You know what? I'm going to put together a graphic that will like show who we're having and who they are.
We have that next week. Do you know?
Oh, I don't have my calendar.
I don't have the calendar there. See,
next week. Is it Johnny? Is it Johnny next week?
Oh yeah, next week. My friend, musician and psychic Johnny Nails coming on the show. He's a former firefighter who was at Ground Zero on 9/11. A really wonderful, sweet human being, much like the soft-hearted Michael Zinn here. But
it's interesting you said that, because I know a couple of people who actually had spiritual awakenings at 9/11 and had experiences that changed their lives in the direction of their lives completely. Karen Garvey is one, actually. Another person we should have on the show.
People are in important places, and I really think Johnny is one of those guys. He's very, very psychic and wise, and I wanted to have him on the show to talk about his own personal spiritual journey, as we always do, his journey to consciousness. And thank you once again to the Rams Network, Rock Against MS, and thank you to anybody who donated to our show and the channel. Of course, all proceeds go to the show, but 20% of all proceeds on the Rams Network go to the Rams Network and keeping the Rams Network afloat. And so it's kind of like a charity. I like being really transparent about that, though.
Cool.
It's a geek.
Yeah, but anyway, I love you, Shane. Thank you so much. I'm gonna hang up and I'm gonna go get myself some food with my girlfriend and have a lovely night. I hope that you guys do as well. And we'll see you next week with psychic and musician Johnny.
We'll see you having me. Bye, Michael.
Shane, hang out 1 second after the title, and we'll talk. All right.
Oh, sure. Sounds good.
All right. So, folks, thank you for joining us. As always, we'll see you guys next week with Johnny, and look forward to a cool calendar of guests and topics.
Bye, Taylor. Bye, Angela. Bye, Kenzie.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.
Bye.